Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are here to discuss the 10th episode of the Jim Henson Hour, known as Secret of the Muppets. And once again, we have a special guest. And once again, that special guest is a co-owner of toughpigs.com. Because that's right, folks, we've completed the whole set. We had Joe Hennis, we had Ryan Rowe, and now we have Mr. Jarrod Fairclough with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and it's just us taking you over. You know that, don't you?
I thought this was almost like a reverse. Like we are slowly indoctrinating you into part of the commitment family.
No, well, that's what we want you to think.
We're inviting you all to a remote getaway in a mountain cabin far, far from civilization where we can take care of all of you at once.
Thanks. Is there a cell signal there?
No, and the phone line's been cut as well. Pre-cut phone line.
Is it right near like a prison with the hardened criminals?
Yes, and I did hear that the bridge is due to wash out. So
it's like surprisingly close to the prison. Like you would think, like there's no way they allow a cabin to be that close to a prison. But like you could touch the barbed wire from the windows. So yeah, so welcome to the family, as we like to call it. We are a family here.
A work retreat, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't spoken to Joe or Ryan since they've been on the podcast, have you? No one's seen them.
Oh, my God. Oh, I'm starting to think if I have, but anyway.
Well, yes, we are joined by, old friend of the show, Jarrod here.
It's been a while.
It's been 3 years.
Has it really?
Has it?
It was March of 2023 when we were here to discuss the Sesame Street special, Don't Eat the Pictures.
Oh, we were so young then.
Much like the Muppets are really going through an existential crisis in this thing that we watched today, that really just spins me out. I can't think about how 3 years ago, that's crazy.
Yeah, it almost I think a while back, Jarrod, you and I were talking and we were like, oh yeah, it'd be good to get you back on. And when we had that conversation, I was like, yeah, but it hasn't been that long since you were on. And then in reality set in and realized it's been nearly 3 years out of this only 5-year podcast.
So now let me figure out the dates of this. So this.
Oh no.
What year did this The Secret of the Muppets come out?
Oh dear.
I mean, it was made in 1989, which is where we are at.
Which is where we are. Okay. And then when did Don't Eat the Pictures come out?
Depressingly recent, I would say, in regards to where Jim Henson Hour. It was 1983.
Okay, so actually, it's taken me 6 years to get here.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm not depressed by that amount of time, Matt. I think I'm okay with that.
The fact that we've only gone 6 years and 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We are going forward.
You have so much coming up. So there's little things to come up, and I go, "Oh God, that's just." I wonder if the Commitment boys look at that and go, "Oh God, we're gonna have to talk about that in like 25 years, aren't we?"
I just try not to think about the future ever. So
yeah, okay. I live about 6 weeks in the future with this podcast at this point because there's been hubris moments where I've tried to schedule out like the entire year, and then we'll take a week off, or I'll realize, oh, actually that's like 10 hours of stuff. We should split that into 2 episodes,
or you'll have a baby.
Or sometimes you'll just have a baby and then you have to take some time off. So I realized I was like, I can plan like the next 6 weeks and then we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So I pretty much know, actually from now through July is pretty set in stone. Mm-hmm. But, even then we'll only be in like mid 1990.
Okay. All right. So, and I mean, you've got a lot coming up that happens in mid 1990. So
Well, the problem is we're at a snail's pace right now because we have been doing this unprecedented Jim Henson Hour adventure where we were doing one episode a week, which is how a lot of normal podcast exists.
Yeah.
But we do 3 to 5 episodes of things a week usually.
Our
so,
episodes would be so long if we tried to talk because that would be kind of like talking about 4 things every week, usually.
Right.
Yeah.
When we're talking about a storyteller and a Muppet Television, if we had to talk about 2 of each of those things, we might go a little nuts. So I think doing this at this pace, one, allows us to dive deeper into it, but also has allowed us to have a lot of guests either back or on for the first time. And I think to have some interesting discussions about Jim's career at this point in time, which, is really interesting, I think. I'm excited to talk about this episode because it's very different from most Jim Henson Hour episodes. I think, of your fellow co-owners of Tough Pigs, Joe had a really bad episode of the Jim Henson Hour. Ryan had a surprisingly good episode of the Jim Henson Hour. And you got an episode that I'm not sure counts as an episode of the Jim Henson Hour.
Correct. And this is where I also have to reveal something. This is the only episode of the Jim Henson Hour I've ever seen.
Oh, wow. So previous to this, or this was the first time you've ever seen it? Also?
No, I've seen this episode before. But I have never seen. I may have. Is Dog City part of?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, I've seen Dog City. But that's it. I've never watched the rest of it. It's something that I've been meaning to watch.
Interesting.
Just have never got around to it.
It almost feels like in retrospect that the whole series was made just so they could make this documentary. Like, I don't know. This feels like the series finale in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but also, I don't know. There was part of this for me that felt like Jim was forced to make this.
Okay.
Not from his tone or anything, but because a lot of it was recycled material from Down at Fraggle Rock.
It's like a clip show.
Of Muppets and Men, or like other documentaries they've made in the past. So it wasn't a like fully original new documentary idea. It was sort of, let's take documentaries we've made before, add in some new stuff about Jim Henson Hour, and see if we can make a full episode.
I think in that sense, it feels the most like The Wonderful World of Disney to me, though. Like I think he would be excited about this episode because he'd be like, finally, we're like recycling stuff and I can talk and like I don't know. If this feels like what part of his original vision for it would be. But yes, it was probably also a pretty easy, like cheap one to make comparatively.
There are some moments in there where it does feel like Jim's having a really good time, especially with the JoJo stuff. And I think there are some jokes tossed in randomly that are some of the like better jokes that Jim Henson Hour has ever done. So I'm like, okay, they were having some fun with this one.
There is some funny stuff in here, yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, they're the only jokes that Jim Henson Hour has ever done.
You're also not wrong though, Jarrod. Even with your limited knowledge, most of the Jim Henson Hour doesn't try that hard to make jokes.
Yeah, he's got more energy here than he ever has. Do you want to go back and watch some of it now?
I do. It's something that I think when you guys started the sort of the run through of this, I did think to myself, oh, that's because there's a couple of things I just have passed me by. I haven't seen this. I've never seen Classic Muppet Theatre. And there's a couple of other little things that just, for whatever reason, have passed me by and I've just never got around to watching them. And so even watching this episode, and seeing like that giant dragon thing and like seeing little bits of Storyteller or whatever it might be. This might be something that I sort of commit to actually sitting down and watching. And also just so I can listen to your podcast about it because, I'm always interested to what you two have to say.
I mean, the wild thing is there are people who listen to this podcast who have never watched anything we've ever discussed.
They just like us,
know. But I don't know how they get anything out of this. I'm glad they do, but I'm shocked that there are people who listen to us discuss.
Don't make them question it, Matt. Don't talk about it too long.
Well, look, we won't commit to anything now, but perhaps I'll come back when Muppet Classic Theatre is around, and that is an excuse for me to watch it. But again, we won't commit.
There we go. This is like, I think when we had Brian J. Jones on the first time years ago, he talked about either having never seen or only seen once Muppets from Space. And I was like, when we get to Muppets from Space, it'd be really funny to have Brian J. Jones back on to talk about that. And now the idea of getting to 1999 feels like, I'm going to be 60 years old.
Jesus
so I'm not
Christ.
thinking about that.
That came out in 1999. We have so long.
You guys have so much coming. Yeah, that's it. I say, let's not commit to anything. That's because, the sun has probably been swallowed. The earth, I should say, has probably been swallowed by the sun by that point.
And that's honestly best case scenario of what
Yeah.
could happen.
Yeah. We live in America,
yeah.
Jarrod. I don't know if you've heard of it, but not great right now.
Yeah, no.
My heart sang when you said the earth would be swallowed by the sun.
It's like, ooh,
Wow.
like soon?
Yeah. How have you been the last 3 years, Jarrod? What's new with you?
Look, I mean, I think to myself 3 years ago, and a lot's changed. I am in the same room that I recorded that last episode in, but just facing a different way. But look, a lot's changed. I'm down one parent. That happened about a month after I spoke to you guys last.
To be fair, I don't like the tone. That almost felt like we were to blame.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, worth noting, it did happen not that long after I talked to you guys.
Yeah, just gonna say,
we'll take credit for Joe and Ryan, nobody else.
So a lot's happened, and I mean, but look at you guys as well. I mean, Matthew, you had a child.
Yeah, no, I have an almost 8-month-old daughter now, so that's life is different. I was trying to teach her how to say Muppet. Turns out she can't say any words yet, so it's hard for her to say Muppet. But
are you really pushing for Muppet to be the first word?
No, I think, given babies and how they work, Dada's probably going to be her first word, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kicking around this morning. I was like, what Muppet is like the easiest name to say for a baby?
Oh, yeah.
I have an answer that I landed on, but I'm curious if there's any that jumped to mind initially for you guys.
I wonder if it's maybe... Oh, the first one to come to mind was Fozzie, only because it has that bit of a gargly noise when you get to the Z's or Z's. Sorry, Americans.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just the F. The F is going to be the difficult thing.
I don't think anything with a heart like a Kermit, that's going to be too hard. Gonzo, nothing too tough. I think Fozzie. I feel like maybe Cookie Monster could sneak in there because Cookie could be something that they're
Cookie could be a
exposed
word
to.
that's
Monster might be kind of tough, but cookies and monsters are two things that kids have a lot of experience with. So I don't know.
We do read Monster at the end of this book quite a bit. So
So Grover might be on the edge of too hard, but I don't know what.
I do like how much credit you guys are giving her. I picked Bobo.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. She probably's already said that.
Yeah, she's probably accidentally said Bobo a few times.
Bean could be one too. I've heard babies say Bean before.
I would love if she was just like Bean.
Yeah.
Watch her first word end up being Aloysius Snuffleupagus.
We're like, I'm gonna get blamed for this one.
Yeah. And also when you're like, oh, here's a video of my baby saying her first word, and it is like Fozzie Bear, everybody would be like, Matt, you fucking idiots.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's a certain level of Muppet fandom that I can push on
You've
her.
already ruined her life.
And I think people will judge me if that goes too far.
Yeah. You don't want her to have to be on a podcast someday saying that her first word was Fozzie Bear, Matt. Trust me.
Especially if it's not a Muppet podcast. If she's like, here's our, Shitty Dads podcast.
It's a true crime podcast, and she's the murderer. That's what it's gonna be.
I think it all started when I first said Fozzie out loud.
Let's be honest, though, with the way this podcast is going and the fact that you're only at 1989, there is every chance your children are going to take over this podcast.
I would
the
hope,
family business.
Well, the thing is,
I might have to outsource, but we'll see.
We'll have to put it in our wills, maybe, of who inherits it.
Yeah.
But I am always a little optimistic that there will be more dry periods of the Muppets throughout the 90s and 2000s, where they're doing a lot less than they currently are. So
and when we retire, we can really bust through these things too. We could record twice a week if we wanted to.
Sam's just looking 30 years ahead and thinks we'll be able to retire.
30 years ahead to 2003.
Right.
Which is where you'll be.
No.
When we're like, okay, what's this new show I'm hearing about? Maybe we're going to be creeping up close to the 2011 Muppets movie by then as we're retiring. Who knows?
Yeah.
I do have dreams, discussing more modern things, where the Muppets have gone, where they, I think it's interesting to think about shows like ours or Muppeturgy or other shows that have discussed all of the Muppet Show, discussing the new Muppet Show, which, yes, we will have a special flash forward sort of episode discussing the new Muppet Show.
Yep.
How are you feeling about the new Muppet Show, Jarrod?
I'm excited. I don't know much about it, in that I only know what's come out. I know there's some people within the realm of Tough Pigs who've been given little bits of access from sort of people they know, but I have specifically been like, do not tell me anything. I don't want to hear it. I am very excited to just sit down and watch it. I think Sabrina Carpenter is a wonderful choice for the guest. I think she's very, very funny. So I am keen to see it. I mean, I'm really hoping that we get like a preview link and I don't have to wait until February 4th. But at the moment, I haven't heard anything. So fingers crossed I get to see it early. Although, that said, every time I see a Muppet thing early, I do have to put up with a giant Jarrod Fairclough written across the screen, watermarked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you don't leak it.
Yeah, I think it was the 2015 series, the previews links we had for those. It was like the DVD logo bouncing, and it just had Jarrod Fairclough written all over it. And it was just like, and I'll be honest, there were some times where I would just be staring at that going, hit the corner. Oh, I just missed.
That sounds kind of nice too. Your own name. Nothing sweeter than your own name, right?
That's
like,
it. I remember watching it, watching the episode where I visited the set of the 2015 series.
Right.
Oh,
And
cool.
And there's my name bouncing around. I'm like, well, technically I am behind that wall. So I guess I'm starring in this episode. I do post this every single time, but many Muppet fans will know the photo that the Muppets quite often post of Fozzie and Bobo like cuddling. They're on a couch and they're asleep. I am just behind the wall in that photo, to the point where if that wall wasn't there, you would see my face. So every time that photo comes up, I do share it and say, I'm in that photo, technically.
What the heck? That's cool. Were you watching them cuddle?
I was just, it was weird. There was no one else around.
Over.
Peeking over like, this is nice.
Could I get in there? Eric Jacobson, Bill Beretta being like, Jarrod, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Get out. What are you doing? Off you go.
But I feel like the elephant in the room is that not everyone in the world of Muppets is extremely excited about the new Muppet Show. Some people have gone on to proclaim very publicly that they will not be enjoying it and they are no longer a fan of the Muppets. And some of those people are even former performers of said Muppets. What we're talking about, if somehow I do think there are people who listen to this podcast who don't know what I'm talking about, who are less in the Muppet fandom. Steve Whitmire, former performer of Kermit, who was relieved of his duties in 2017, put out a huge statement on his website basically saying the Muppets are lost. They cannot be reclaimed under this Disney umbrella. And a lot of his gripes, I guess I'll say, fall into this realm of no Muppet should ever be recast and should essentially die with the original performer, whether they retire or actually die. And as a second generation Muppet performer of Kermit the Frog, that's very interesting. But he covers that by basically saying that that's true for everyone but him.
Oh my God. I'm just going to start with the phrase, oh my God. I woke up to this information. This had come out at like 1 a.m. my time. And I woke up to several messages from several people. The last time that happened was when Carol Spinney passed away. So I thought, what the hell's happened? And then, yes, I read this thing and laughed. But not laughed as in, oh, this is funny, what a silly man. I laughed as in, this is a real thing he thought was okay to put out. I'm just going to quote my favorite part at the end. I served with Kermit. I know Kermit. Kermit was a friend of mine. Folks, that green frog puppet is no Kermit. His heart and soul are here with me. What self-aggrandizing bullshit. Disrespectful to every single puppeteer that has basically ever worked with the Muppets, past and present. Incredibly disrespectful to Matt. Incredibly disrespectful to the people at Muppet Studio, which, mind you, he doesn't know any of them because they're all people who have turned up since he left. And disrespectful to the fans. Basically, almost saying that, like, hey, if you're a fan of the current Muppets, you know, you shouldn't be, or whatever it might be. Like,
or you're not
gatekeeping.
really a fan of the real Muppets, because how could you possibly be a fan of these Muppets and the Muppets we all know and love from the 70s?
Correct. And so contradictory in his messaging. So contradictory in the whole, the Muppets should die with the original performer, except for Kermit the Frog, because that was me.
Right.
Notice that he doesn't say anything about the Muppet Newsman, or even, like, I thought maybe something about Bean or Rizzo. Like,
No mention of Bean or Rizzo was interesting to me as two characters that he did originate and have very recently been publicly, recast. I was surprised how Kermit focused this was, which makes it feel even like more of an attack on Matt Vogel.
Yeah.
He tries to cover that off by saying no disrespect to Matt in the statement, but obviously then when there's 8 paragraphs to follow that, it doesn't feel quite like that is true.
Well, I just looked, Matt's name is in it once the entire time. So yeah, but it definitely feels like a dig at him in some way.
Yeah, and I think it does just feel so, self-centered, because I've seen clips of Frank Oz saying not that dissimilar of things, of his feelings about the Muppets currently and the last, decade of the Muppets and how they are under Disney, and sort of how he feels some of that magic is gone and some of it is gone forever because you can't recapture that magic of him and Jim. He does not make it about himself and say that, like, Eric of Jacobson replacing me was a mistake.
Right.
He's just talking about, there was this lightning in a bottle sensation to the Muppets that I don't think you could ever recapture, which is not, a harmful statement to put out there.
On the contrary, when Frank has spoken about his feelings about the current Muppets, he is still very complimentary of the Puppeteers. He's very complimentary of Eric. He has only nice things to say about Eric.
And I think when he talks to you and Joe, I think maybe it was that conversation, maybe it was another podcast he did around the same time. I feel like he had said something along the lines of, like, he would be happy to direct or work with the Muppets, but nobody has called him.
And I. Yeah, correct.
Like, they never asked him to come do that, but he would be interested in doing so. So it's not that he has this disdain for Disney and the Muppets.
So I know that Frank has, again, as I said before, a lot of people at Muppet Studio who were there when the whole Steve, as Joe and I refer to it as the kerfuffle, occurred. Those people are now gone. And I believe a lot of those people had no interest in any sort of dynamic with Frank. I don't know what it's like now, but I do know that Frank has an open dialogue with the people at Muppet Studio now. I think that's more just a, hey, let's just be friends. I don't know that they're necessarily interested in bringing him in for anything, but I don't think they're at a point where they're specifically saying they don't want that. What they don't want is something like this statement that Steve made, which was defamatory and just all round bonkers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you're talking about is also just like inner office and creative politics. That what's the point of, even if it's there, to a certain extent, like, there's obviously things that if they happened, you should bring them to light. But like this kind of thing where you're just complaining to complain is like, it's self-centered, and like, who is this help? Like, take a step back and think, like, who could this possibly be helping? It's not going to mean that I'm going to get my job back. It's just going to mean that a bunch of people are pissed. And what's the point of even talking about any of this stuff not behind closed doors?
Well, I do wonder what his end game is. Like, what is he hoping happens with all this? Like, it seems to me like he's almost saying, if you want the Muppets back, you need me back. But writing something like this, like, they're never going to hire him back anyway, but writing something like this is not the way to get your message across. And it baffles me that he ever thought this was the appropriate thing to do.
I also, it's very long, but I don't feel like he read through it twice, or anybody else read through it for him.
Yeah.
Because there are direct contradictions multiple times throughout it, where he talks about the new Muppet Show, and he sort of calls it a cash grab, and he says that Disney wants you to forget that these aren't your Muppets that you love, because you're going to be blinded by the nostalgia of the Muppet Show, the thing you love, and they're hoping you forget that everyone's different now. Whereas, I don't know, maybe 3 paragraphs away from that, he talks about how in 2010, he apparently pitched an idea to reboot the Muppet Show because he thought it would be a good idea to help the newer performers get comfortable in a familiar setting that the Muppets would already be used to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're saying the same thing in 2 very different voices here. It's just that this one doesn't involve you.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. Like I think you said earlier, like that he thought this was a good idea to say publicly, and offering no solutions or positivity or
Correct.
like it is just complaining for a very 12 paragraphs, and then not saying, here's what I think we should do as fans, or here's what I think would actually make the Muppets better. He's not even offering a counter narrative. He's just saying, here's all of the reasons I think it sucks.
And I mean, look, it has been taken down as of recording. It's no longer up on his website. There are ways you can see it. I think someone on Reddit has, on the Muppet subreddit, has copied and pasted the entire thing, so you can go read it there. But I mean, if you haven't read it, basically, quite early in, he starts talking about cover bands.
Yeah.
And he says here, Alan Haney became known as being the original Elvis impersonator, again performing the songs and impersonating the voice. Yep. Correct. That is absolutely correct. Do you know who else did that for about 25 years after someone passed away? You, Steve Whitmire, you did that.
Right.
And he doesn't seem to understand the complete contradiction of what he's saying. And so that's basically, if you're not going to go and read it, just know that it starts like that and it doesn't get better.
And there are points, I think, throughout that I've seen a lot of people say he has nuggets of wisdom sprinkled in that if you're skimming it, you might be like, well, what did he say that was so wrong? Because he has things in there that other Muppet fans have said or have thought or might agree with, of like, oh yeah, certain projects didn't feel right or certain things maybe need some work. But it's not just that he's worried about the Muppets or that he's thinking there's something they need to be specifically doing. It is so focused on him. And at the same time, somehow, this idea that you cannot replace puppeteers who originate roles.
Mm-hmm.
And it never reckons with the fact that he is one of those people. And doesn't even have look, I know I'm saying this as someone who is one of these people. He kind of gets around that. He thinks he's getting around that by saying that he can essentially channel the soul of Jim Henson because he knew the man, which is a paragraph where when it started, it starts talking about, he'll say fans online will talk about someone supposed to be channeling the spirit of Jim Henson to play this role, which I have seen people say about Matt Vogel, that what he's doing isn't an impression, but he's channeling Jim. And so I thought this was the paragraph reads as Steve Whitmire calling out people using that language. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a fair thing. It's kind of weird to say he's channeling Jim. But what it actually ends up being is Steve Whitmire saying, that's poppycock. He can't channel Jim. He didn't know him. I could channel Jim because I knew him. And I'm like, oh, okay. Nope. I almost could go with you for a second there and you lost me because this is only about you.
Yeah. It sucks. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing that makes it not fun to Star Wars and stuff, except for that it's like I guess Mark Hamill, I don't really actually know what Mark Hamill ever said, but it's coming out and saying, this movie I was just in sucked, which I guess did kind of happen and was extremely unfun when it happened. So,
well, and he didn't even say it sucked. He just disagreed with some creative direction. But as he later said, he was like, but ultimately, I was convinced. Also, I'm an actor. I'm going to do my job.
Yeah.
So I don't think Ryan Johnson ruined Star Wars.
It's just the treating everything like a sacred cow but also at the same time, it's just it's the fan thing of like, this is what I want it to be. And if it's not, it sucks.
Yeah. Which does happen in the Muppet fandom. Like Steve Whitmire.
Well, yeah,
There's a lot of people who sound like Steve Whitmire on the internet.
Right.
Like,
it also sucks that this argument has been going on for like a decade or whatever. And now all over again, we have to keep hearing about it.
As well, Steve has, like, he left and, did his own narrative on what happened. And again, none of us really know the full scope of everything that happened. Like, you always say Disney said one thing, Steve said another. The truth is somewhere in the middle. But, so Steve came out and then a bunch of people threw their support behind him. And then for 10 years, he's been going to Comic-Cons and like conventions and all this sort of stuff, and has been meeting people who are just telling him for 10 years, man, you were great. Man, I wish you was Kermit the Frog again. All this sort of thing. So he seems to have just, I think there's this echo chamber around him, and this ego has just grown out of control. And this is what's come out. And I don't think this is it. I think we will see more over the next few weeks. As he thinks, oh, well, that did well. I'm going to say some more stuff. And I truly I don't know what's going to make him go away. I don't think he ever will go away. But, I mean, not to speak for anyone, but I saw some people who, have been Steve fans who saw this and went, oh, that was a bit much, mate. Maybe pull back on that a little bit. So maybe that's why he took it down. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe some of them who maybe have his ear a little bit more. Maybe they mentioned something to him, or that's a best case scenario. Maybe he decided against having it out there in the public, and he, won't double down or rile people up even more. We can hope. But, as of the recording of this podcast right now, the post is down. The Instagram post that was originally linking to it is still up, but I don't think he has said anything else other than the website was having some issues. So we shall see how this plays out. But all that to say, I am looking forward to this new Muppet show. I am excited Rizzo and Bean are back. I am excited by the trailer and all the puppets that they're including in this show, and it's not... it looks like a nice love letter to the Muppet Show.
Yeah. Yes, I am excited about Rizzo and Bean, and I think Bradley Freeman's doing an incredible job.
There's going to be differences that we're going to hear because we've heard 1,000 clips of Rizzo and Bean over the years. But as far as, someone taking over somebody else's role, he's doing a fantastic job. Well, Sam, I guess it should be about that time where I ask you, what did we watch this week?
Today we watched the Jim Henson Hour episode called Secrets of the Muppets, which was made in 1989 but didn't air until June 19th, 1991 for the first time on CBC, because at this point in 1989, the Jim Henson Hour was incredibly canceled. In this special, Jim and everyone's favorite character who's been here the whole time, we swear, Jojo the dog, go behind the scenes of several Muppet productions, from The Muppet Show all the way to the cutting-edge 3D Muppets of the late 80s and everything in between. Meanwhile, the Muppets in Muppet Television slowly melt down as Jim plunges them into a body horror nightmare wherein the very foundations of their universe are stripped away before their very eyes.
Well, yeah, as Sam mentioned, this never aired in its original run in 1989, but we are discussing it along with these other 1989 episodes. That'll be true of the next 2 Jim Henson Hour episodes as well. We're discussing them back to back to back, but they did not air at the same time.
What a crazy thing to just randomly watch, too, because out of context, this would be like the nuts. Like, what? Jim's in this 3D world. There's this weird lion that he's referring to, like he talks to all the time. You don't know what this Jim Henson Hour show is, probably, because nobody in the whole entire world watched it. And then you got this dog. You must be like, oh, the dog who's his sidekick in every single episode. No, he's just being very familiar with this new dog.
I mean, there's also the dinosaur puppet from Living with Dinosaurs that we'll watch next week, but had not aired in the U.S.
Yeah, and that British
before
guy's
this.
That British guy's like, shut the fuck up.
But like, no one would know who that dinosaur was or what he is from, and they wouldn't get to see it for at least a year if they happened to catch it when it aired in the U.S. a year later after this aired in the U.S. Randomly in 1992 on Nickelodeon for some reason.
But by the same note, what a beautiful thing this would have been as like the season finale of the first episode. And you get to like kind of look back on everything. I mean, of the first season of the Jim Henson Hour. If it had aired, then you get to look back on everything. This would be like a fun thing to do every year or something. Be like, here's how we did this. Here's how we did this. Here's how we did this. So I don't know. I think this gave me the same feeling as the last thing we watched where I was like, damn it, Jim, you made a really good thing. You just did it way too late. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. This is definitely, not a representative episode of the Jim Henson Hour that you have seen here, Jarrod, because, normally we get the Muppet Television segment and then we get a storyteller or something else. Or next week, I believe the entire thing is Living with Dinosaurs. There's nothing else happening besides just this short film that is barely a Muppet thing.
And we did get Muppet Television in this, but Muppet Television is also integrated way better in this than it generally is, too.
Yes. Usually Muppet Television is bad.
It's bad,
Whereas this was pretty good, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess overall, it's hard to not like a documentary about how the Muppets are made when we're us. What do you guys think of this?
It's cute. It's fine. I think it suffered for the fact that I've seen a lot of this stuff before on like Down at Fraggle Rock or whatever it might be. Yeah, a lot of it just feels like kind of like a clip show.
Of better documentaries. Like, you can watch a full length of Muppets and Men to get the insight into how the Muppet Show is made. You can get the full length Down at Fraggle Rock to see how Fraggle Rock was made. And you're going to learn more through those documentaries than you do in the 3-minute clips they pull from those documentaries.
I don't know if I agree, because I think what I really liked about it was JoJo. JoJo kicked ass. And at first I was
like JoJo too.
At first I was like imagining, JoJo walks down the stairs and Jim's like, hey, it's JoJo. And I'm imagining a world where like the Jim Henson Hour slowly morphed into like just Jim hanging out in the CGI world with like different like animals hanging out with him.
He's just auditioning for a lion replacement. He's like,
yeah.
JoJo's way more fun than the Thought Lion.
JoJo's way more fun than the Thought Lion. The Thought Lion, and in this, the Thought Lion's totally they couldn't get the guy to come say one thing as the Thought Lion. But what I really liked about this, and I think sometimes the documentaries are a little boring because I'm me, is that I loved the point of view of the Muppet asking questions about itself and then seeing itself get built, because it was more like it's like it gets to be naive, and it's also the subject of the documentary. I think was really interesting, and the part where they're building JoJo in front of JoJo, and JoJo's like, this is humiliating, I don't want to see it. Or like when JoJo's first like when he first brings up the idea of puppets and JoJo's like, I don't think I want you to keep talking about this. There's just that little wrinkle in it that reminded me so much of like the thing that's fun about the Muppets is there's that little fucked up part about it. And this felt the most like the Muppet version of a documentary that I've maybe ever seen.
That's a very good point. And
because it had the fucked up nature of Jim they're in Muppet Central and Jim's like, and none of you are real, and they're like, no, shut up, we're real. Just that coming back over and over again. I guess it just like kept my attention. And then walking through what we've seen so far, I wrote down, this made all of the stuff that we had to watch worthwhile, because now it's like they worked really hard on it, and I get to see that. And it did
make me appreciate, I don't know if this is what you're specifically talking about, but the music video that we shit on when Joe was here.
But
Joe was like, but this is pretty good. And we're like, nah, it sucks, Joe. Come on.
The song is bad. The song is bad.
But watching Steve and Jerry record in the vocal booth and watch them all record their parts and the green screens is impressive and fun. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, this makes me appreciate that song. But if I'm going to go
Yeah.
back and re-listen to it, I'm going to watch this version, not the music video version.
And it was kind of cool because I watched it with my mom, and she was like, I've heard you talk about these guys before, but I've never seen these guys. They look so much hairier than I expected them to. I was like, Steve specifically, she was like,
say you did. That's the two hairy ones. You got, the face hair on Jerry and then the head hair on Steve. So
yeah, she was like, he looks like he should be in Van Halen or something. It's like, that's just what guys looked like in the 90s, I think.
Don't ask me what he's doing right now.
But like people haven't, it's so easy to forget that people haven't seen them. And like this would have been, whoa, they zoomed out the camera. There's people under there.
That's why I will say, as far as I think this is we've said this about a lot of these sort of documentaries, but I think this is a great Muppets 101 for people who haven't seen Down at Fraggle Rock, who haven't seen a Muppets and Men, who haven't watched all the things we've watched, which especially back then would have been a lot harder to catch on TV or own on VHS or whatever. So, if they had seen, I know a lot of people who have talked about watching this on Nickelodeon in the 90s when it aired, and that this was one of their sort of, Jim Henson the Works kind of moments of they're like, I saw The Secret of the Muppets when I was a kid and I love the Muppets now. And so I think there are a lot of people who watch this having never seen anything else from the Jim Henson Hour or the Storyteller or anything, but got to see, what Jim kind of always wanted was to pull back the curtain and show off how these things work.
And what he used to do a lot back in the day. Like,
the Muppets on Puppets special from like 68, where they show you the whole sketch from the front and they're like, all right, now we're going to move the camera to the back and you get to watch us do the whole thing again, but with all the secrets revealed.
Yeah.
I noticed throughout it that there are no behind the scenes clips of Sesame Street.
There's also, I don't think, anything pre-Muppet Show.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, there's nothing from what's the not Muppets and Men? What's the one you just said with the turning of the camera?
Muppets on Puppets.
Muppets on Puppets.
Yeah.
There's no Ed Sullivan era. There's no Sam and Friends. There's no Sex and Violence. Like this is all like we get Gorch. We get Land of Gorch shown briefly. But that's the only like pre-Muppet Show thing I think we see in this entire
Muppet
special.
Show's the good old days officially. And I mean, there's like Rolf sort of tips at, I don't know. There's something about Rolf being there that is sort of like, this is the prehistoric representation of what the Muppets are, but yes, totally.
But yeah, I did wonder why they weren't doing any Sesame. I wonder, was it because they were worried about, like, they kind of be worried about ruining it for the kids? Could they?
I mean, maybe, but we've seen Carol Spinney on the Dick Cavett show with his feather, the top of Big Bird off, and he's just chilling there in the pants. So at one point they worried less about that.
But I wonder if they weren't worried about kids watching the Dick Cavett show, whereas they're a little more worried about kids seeing this.
That's
so I don't
true.
know. And yet, but they still pull away and show, Gonzo and everyone and Kermit with the puppies underneath them.
You might be right though, because I think there is a general hesitation to show the Sesame Street puppeteers.
Right. Sesame Street has made more like self-congratulatory documentaries than anybody at this point. And no offense to Sesame Street, but that we've watched like 4 of them where it's like Sesame Street's great, and they don't ever show. I don't think they do show.
They talk about Jim and Frank sometimes, but like you're not getting a lot of insight into the creation of Sesame Street as much as you're getting like why it's important.
There was the German documentary where you saw them do, but that's it that I can think
But I mean, there was definitely footage by now, because I mean, you look at the old school DVDs and they have footage of, Jim and Frank and whoever it was puppeteering. So yeah, I just made a point about probably 20 minutes into this going, I don't think I've seen any Sesame yet. And I watched out for it and there was nothing.
I wonder if it's a little bit of sense of ownership. This feeling a bit more of like things Jim feels like he owns either legally or he can take credit for more than Sesame Street. And because it does feel like a greatest hits compilation a little bit, and also a fun pull back the curtain, give some credit to the puppeteers while showing off the hard work that goes into what we do.
I don't think this is it, but it could also be the Sesame Street's for kids and this isn't for kids part of it. Like the other stuff he shows kind of does toe the line a little bit more of, this is just entertainment. This is not children's entertainment in the way
Yeah.
that Sesame Street doesn't. But they did sing last week. They sang "I Love Trash."
That's
and
true.
made
Katie
no-
Lang saying "I
Yeah.
love trash."
But they didn't mention Oscar or anything like that. They just sang "I Love Trash."
Mhm.
To a bunch of living trash bags. But so it exists to them. But that is interesting. Yeah. Or maybe he thought, hey, we've already made 1 billion documentaries about Sesame Street. Let's let other stuff have a little breathing room.
I mean, it also could have been resources, timing. It could have been like what can we fit into this, or what can we talk about?
Yeah. Or
where
how do we clear
where we
these
want to
clips
go
from PBS or something like that in time?
Yeah. But there is so many other things in this that it would be weird if that was the one outlier that they couldn't get cleared. So it does
Right.
feel like a choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know, like, when you're showing off puppets, Big Bird's one of those puppets that it feels like you want to show off.
He's a
and
showstopper, yeah.
More like when your only walk around puppet you have in this is the giant from the Heartless Giant. Like, that's not as impressive as a lot of your other walk around puppets, Jim.
Yeah.
I said before how that I like this is something that I had seen before. So in 2014, I got to visit the Creature Shop in LA, right? And I've just been looking for a photo, and I'm walking around, and I spot, and this is a this is a visual medium. I apologize.
That's all right.
A visual thing, but I mean, if one of you would like to explain what you're seeing right now,
It's the devil.
It's
obviously.
the little devil from the Soldier in Death. Yeah.
Correct, right? So that little devil was sitting there. I'm like, why do I know that? I know that somewhere. And so I thought, I'm just going to take a photo of it because I feel like I recognize it. And one day it'll come to me what it was. And then about 6 months later, I was just
It was still burned into your phone.
I was, it was still burned into my phone. That picture just comes up when like anyone rings. It's weird. But I came across this and was like, I think for whatever reason, I might have been skipping through this or whatever it was. And they came up for just a little moment. And so I typed it in. I was like, Jim Henson Company, like devil puppet or whatever it was. And not only did, a clip from that you see in this, and I'm like, well, that's obviously where I've seen it before. A picture of Jim Henson with that very puppet comes up. And I go, oh, well, that's where I've seen it before.
Yeah, it says, and Jojo, I'm sure you remember the devil. Jojo's met the devil.
Yeah, I can't sleep at night. I did love this dichotomy of Jojo having this very upbeat, like 4-year-old boy energy going on, but also being very, educated. And the moment Jim starts talking about puppets, it's just like, oh, I wish you wouldn't keep talking, Mr.
I don't want to
H.
hear about this. Yeah.
Starts to get a
I
little
know this is going to be upsetting.
Yeah.
So this episode opens up with Digit panicking as no one else seems to be around, and we're only seeing color bars on monitors. And so he is like, what would Kermit do? He would play a classic, meaningful piece of entertainment. And what does he play? He plays us the old school Muppet Show intro, which, did, I think, hit the right note of making me feel something while watching this. Even though as, Kermit comes in, it does feel like that sort of, oh yeah, these were the good old days. These were the good old days, and like maybe we do kind of miss that a little bit.
Watching Digit watch that also is kind of like, I don't know, there's something melancholy about just him like staring at the screen, and I kept like expecting something to happen, but it's just Digit like watching it being like, I wish I was there or something. I don't know what he's thinking. But yeah, there's something just a little sad about watching him watch that.
This is like what I think part of the issue with this episode is a little bit. Like, there's no behind the scenes stuff. I know that maybe at this point we don't know we're doing a behind the scenes episode, but a lot of this episode, like I said, is a clip show. We are just watching old existing clips of the Muppets without any context, and like, we're going to show you some behind the scenes stuff. And they do like a 2-minute montage, and maybe 60 seconds of it is behind the scenes. And 60 seconds is just something that we haven't just seen them film, or we're not just about to watch them film. It's just 60 seconds of Muppet content.
There was too long of a montage at the beginning. I do agree with that.
Yeah, it was a little filling for time feeling, and also a
Mhm.
little bit of how long's this gonna go on for, though?
The whole hour. Yeah.
Mhm.
What was that CGI Kermit head? Was that from something?
I
we've
did look
seen?
that up because I was like, we have not seen that before.
Yeah.
So yeah, according to Muppet Wiki, this is from Digital Productions, who is the company we talked about a handful of times because Jim kept going and trying to make something work with them. He ultimately used them for the owl at the beginning of Labyrinth. But Digital Productions was involved in creating a computer-generated Kermit the Frog head, which was incorporated into plans for the Muppet Institute of Technology, which was
that I think we
a
did
thing that ended up
maybe
not happening.
We did maybe lay eyes on this CGI Kermit head at some point.
We probably
I
would have
think
seen
we
the
did.
screenshot that's on Muppet Wiki of it.
That's right.
But it jumped out to me as the only thing in this special that I had not seen before.
Yeah.
So yeah, being shoved in the middle of a bunch of stuff that we have seen, I was like, oh, what? Wait a minute, what is this? And so yeah, it says on Muppet Wiki, while this project did not come to fruition, the Kermit head would appear briefly during a montage in the Jim Henson Hour episode Secrets of the Muppets.
Weird. Okay.
That's during the very guitar-heavy dad rock montage that Jim and JoJo throw to, which is just everything from Muppet Show, Labyrinth, Fiery, Storyteller, pretty much everything the Muppets have done is included in there.
I did love how 80s this entire thing is.
Yeah.
It's so 1989.
Yep. It felt like home to me. Like this was what my life was like for the first like decade I was alive. Everything on TV looked like this. Everything looked like shit, but it all looked really fun. You're just like, and all music and montages were scored to this kind of thing. And it was just like I was back in my playroom as a child. It was great.
Yeah, seeing even low-res Waldo at one point, I was like, that's like PS1 graphics going on right here. I was like, I wouldn't mind this, Waldo.
This is not too bad. I loved Waldo voiced by Jim, actually, because I liked his really wacky look that kind of was like against the more like stately Jim voice that he was doing. I thought that worked really well.
It felt like Jim was thinking, like, could I do a Waldo impression? He's like, I could. No, I can't go that far. So let's just do a little wacky.
Maybe he thought he was. Maybe that's as wacky as he can possibly be.
His wacky knob only goes up to 4.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some joke somewhere about Jim Henson inheriting a Steve Whitmire character, and I can't think of the joke, but just imagine it was really funny.
Yeah. Like posting a screenshot of Jim controlling the Waldo and saying, how disrespectful.
Yeah,
for
Jim writing and thinking, I know Waldo C. Graphic, and sir, you are no Waldo C. Graphic.
I don't know if that's staying in the episode, but it might become an Instagram post.
I did just think of how not outdated it is, but when they say it takes for 2 minutes of footage, it takes 120 hours for Waldo to render, and now that footage, granted, it's coming out at like maybe a real-time thing, but that would be done in maybe an hour and a half tops.
Yeah,
I could
make a Waldo on my computer pretty easily.
We could do it right now.
it would be done before this podcast is over. For sure. And probably would be in 4K. Like it wouldn't even be this like low res 480p that Waldo was.
I mean, the unfortunate truth is you could type into AI, make Waldo C. Graphic, and it would do it for you instantly.
That's the secret Manchurian Candidate thing, though, that happens where you do that to ChatGPT and it's like, oh shit, they found us.
Yeah.
Waldo C. Graphic is the thing that makes me realize.
He's been AI, though. He's just
if
in
he's
the computer.
trying, like a computer trying to create a computer, it's just going to all explode.
Yeah. Then you get Muppet Vision 3D. He's bouncing on
like
your head.
Right after Jim talks about the length of time it would take to render out a Waldo graphic, we get a reused Waldo graphic from one of the past episodes of him changing into a clown. So it's like, we weren't going to spend 120 hours on this.
But you know what, Matt? We actually said, why the fuck did he turn into a clown in the episode where he turned into a clown? So maybe the chicken and the egg situation here.
They just made a stock folder of Waldo changes into shit, and they're like, we'll find places for it. We spent 120 hours on this. We got to find some home for it.
Yeah. I would love to talk more about JoJo because I'm going to say something.
Yes.
I'm going to say something right now. And if you know me, it's a big deal. I like JoJo as much as I like Rufus.
Wow. That is a pretty big deal.
I think I just really like Muppet Dogs.
Yeah.
Good, because there's a
was
whole
working
segment of
for
Muppet
me.
Dogs in this for you.
Oh my God. I stood up and applauded when that was happening.
Saluted.
Yes, it was amazing. The organization of Muppet Dogs. Perfect.
I am just happy anytime I get to see Sprocket.
Not the chopped head Sprocket that we've seen in Muppet Christmas Carol or on Dog City, where it's just put Sprocket's head on a body. It's fine.
Yeah, there's just something so interesting about Muppet Dogs, where there is in the Muppet Show, there was this thing too where pigs were kind of their own subculture.
Yeah.
And that isn't as much of a thing anymore, but Muppet Dogs are just always like, they're like a separate thing from even just Muppets. I think is so cool where they're like, I think we might be real dogs. Like, I don't know, just the fact that they act so much like dogs more than any other Muppet acts like the animal that they are. And they're all kind of in it together. It does feel like Rolf's influence of being like, look guys, they threw me aside. I gotta like have my little cult or something. But
also the fact that, this all started, not all started with Rolf, but the success really kicked off with Rolf. So I feel like there's something to that of like dogs work.
Yeah.
People like our dogs.
They're the secret power behind the Muppets are dogs.
Yeah. If the new Muppet Show succeeds, it's because they're bringing back Baskerville. I'm saying it right now.
That would be great. I should make a mental note after the Muppet thing comes out. Who was the standout character, and is it somebody that we didn't expect it to be? Does the world come out of this and say, "Holy shit, Professor Bubble Pants or whatever? He's the Muppet of
Professor
2020."
Bubble Pants.
There's so much wrong with that I'm just gonna let it lie.
I can't wait for the Muppet of Professor Bubble Pants.
I think he just
three you've got to
it.
put together.
Yeah, but it's SpongeBob and Mr. Poodle Pants actually mashed up in a weird.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't remember Mr. Poodle Pants.
But you're also there is a guy with a bubble head and a poodle pants. So
I had that as Professor Phil Van Nuder, Bill the Bubble Guy, and Mr. Poodle Pants. So
okay,
get
Ultimate Muppets
Photoshopping,
Tonight
Gatos.
Muppet,
Let's go.
right?
I
Yeah,
mean, I was
exactly.
giving Sam less credit for knowing more than one of those on that list.
I forgot the Bubblehead guy was a different guy.
There we go.
Yeah,
See?
yeah. Yeah.
So at the start, we do have Jim, who introduces us to Sam's new favorite Muppet, JoJo.
He doesn't even introduce JoJo to us, really. JoJo just comes down the stairs and he's like, "There's JoJo."
Well, what we learn is that JoJo is just a handy dog who works at the show and is actually kind of ruining the shot by wandering onto set.
Yeah,
Jim
well,
kind of
he's a
scolds
dog.
JoJo at first and was like, "Oh, well, actually, we don't usually let dogs just wander onto set here." But JoJo's like, "Well, actually, sir, I got a question. How do the Muppets work?" And Jim says, "Well, by an astounding coincidence, you've asked exactly the right question."
Yes, and that's one of the lines where I was like, "This is gonna be good," because that's
There's two ways to read that line, which is either, yes, we set this up nicely, or JoJo, you only ask useless questions. So it is shocking that you asked a good question for once.
It's one of those scenes where you can feel Jerry Jewell back there doing one of his classic, like, this is a little bit of a jerk off and we're having a good time kind of situation.
The other moment I felt that was basically there was a moment I had a question about the production of this, and then a few minutes later, they made a reference to it, which was they go to, they're in Canada shooting Jim Henson Hour, and then they show them go to New York and they bring JoJo. And I was like, wow, okay. So they brought the dog from Canada to New York. That's kind of impressive. Or did they cast a second dog? I don't know. They did a good job if they did. Who cares? And then 5 minutes later, they're going to the UK creature shop and they're walking up with a dog who looks almost nothing like JoJo.
Like JoJo.
and Jim says in the voiceover, like, England has very strict laws about importing animals. So we got this dog that I promise will look better in the close-ups.
And it's barking at the giant, and then he's like, "JoJo, leave the giant alone." She's like, "That's the British version of me, sir." It was so funny. And I like that she called him sir. She reminded me of Marcy from Charlie Brown a little bit. Just
Yes.
JoJo was really firing on all cylinders for me. We got to go back and do the Muppet Madness bracket again with JoJo.
Add JoJo in there?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt, I imagine, that during this watching experience, Sam did text me and say, "Hey, I got a crush on Camille Benora now."
She was so hot. I'm sorry, okay? I'm just a man in love with a woman pretending to be a dog.
Oh, I have so many questions and not enough time to ask them.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any of the answers for you.
Throughout this, they are showing off the blue screen studio in which they make this. Both the opening scene is shown off with Jim's blue stairs that he gets to walk down at the beginning of the show, as well as after Jim has, completely undone the brains of the Muppets, including Leon and Gonzo, by telling them that Muppet Central doesn't exist. Leon tries to prove it exists by banging on monitors, and Jim's like, actually, that was a sound effect added in post. And the images you're looking at are also added in post.
Yes.
Nothing is real, Leon.
He's just up there judoing their universe away from them. And my mom was laughing so hard at that part. And it also reminded me of a Goosebumps book a little bit. Have you ever seen like a Shocker on Shock Street? Have you ever read a Shocker on Shock Street?
I mean, maybe when I was 10,
I
but
think
the
that's what
memories
it's
are not
called.
there.
There's these two kids who are, spoilers for Goosebumps. There's these two kids who are running through this amusement park that's like a haunted amusement park. And they're like, oh, fuck, we're getting chased by monsters. And then at the end, a scientist comes out and turns the kids off. And he's like, the test dummies were a success.
Ooh.
And it's like, they were robots the whole time. And this had the same feeling to me of like, or like H.P. Lovecraft or something, where it's just like, everything I know isn't real. There's an explanation for everything, and the explanation is always that I have no control over my own body or my own universe, and none of this is real, in a way that was just like, Leon, I feel bad for you for the first time in my life.
And then Jim Henson slowly leans forward and says, "You'll never escape the cube."
Yes. He looks at the TV at me. That's right.
I mean, it is interesting that there are, we pull back to see all the puppeteers underneath the Muppet Central puppets, and Jim is one of them. So Jim is throwing to a scene where Jim is going to be revealed.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a mindfuck moment. The biggest one for me that is a little bit the body horror is really when Gonzo has to deal with his mortality, because JoJo is walking through the creature shop and sees somebody carving a new Gonzo.
Yeah.
And then Jim has to explain to Gonzo that he is not real. He does not have real hands. He cannot pick up a phone. He has arm wires. He is being controlled, and he will wear out and be replaced.
The phone part was so good. I loved the phone part where
I also like that Kermit has come to terms with all of this. Kermit is fully aware of everything else that none of the other puppets are aware of.
Kermit's been paraded in front of people on all kinds of talk shows and stuff. He knows everything. Yeah.
He's also like, let me show you the 6 other versions of me wearing a red sweater without a collar.
I did notice when it got to when they introduced Steve at the pan down, because everyone was obviously saying like, I'm Gonzo and I'm Dave Gold and I'm not as crazy as Gonzo is. And it leaned down, you had Bean Bunny, and then it went to Steve, and Steve said, I have the soul of Kermit the Frog. I did think that was weird.
Yeah, at the time, everyone was like, I don't know why you said that. That's very strange. But
one day this will all make sense.
He did actually say, I'm shy. Which was kind of interesting, I thought. Bean in this was also great. As Bean, we found, Jarrod, that Bean is the standout character of the Jim Henson Hour. Every time Bean shows up, he's so
That is the
funny.
thing you're missing by not having seen it, is you understand why Bean is so important in things like Muppet Vision, is because everything about his character was created in this show.
And he's not even... In like Muppet Christmas Carol, he's got that kind of thing where he gets beat. Like, I feel like eventually he was getting hurt a lot. And in the Muppet... in this show, instead of that, he is like he's like a bully a little bit. He's like so cute, and he's like a star, and everybody treats him like a star. He's kind of got a Grover thing going on, and he's got a little bit of a bully edge to him. Or like in this one where he's like, you said puppets, or like, I saw puppeteers. Yeah, he's just like a bad little boy in kind of a fun way.
Yeah, I think some of that energy will eventually end up in Rizzo from Steve. Yeah. I feel like it's got a similar energy.
That's true. Because Jarrod lives the entire planet away from us. He does have to go. We've run up against his heart out. He's got to go to regular work now.
I do. Disgusting.
On Monday.
But it is Monday and I have to work. But thank you very much.
It's Sunday afternoon. But yes, thank you, Jarrod, for being with us.
That's all right. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Thank you very much for having me. I look forward to coming back in, I hope not another 3 years. Let's not spend 3 more years
We'll
apart,
do better
fellas.
than that. We'll do better than that next time. All right. I promise. Do you have anything you want people to check out, though?
Look, 70 Years, 70 Muppets is back. We are doing a second season with characters who weren't picked. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I don't have to produce this one, so I'm so excited. And then just head to Tough Pigs. We got some fun stuff coming up. I'm hoping we're going to get to do some fun stuff for the Muppet Show special, but I don't know anything yet. And that's about it. And also listen to Commitment, but you're already here, so you're already listening.
Thank you.
Listen
That's
again.
nice. Yeah.
Listen twice as much as you listen to Tough Pigs.
That's right.
So we
Start
can
it all over
overtake
again.
them.
Well, you've already won all of the Muppet Fan Awards, so...
Not all of them.
Not all of, yeah, don't bring
Oh,
that
no.
up, Jarrod.
Welcome to our world.
I don't like it.
right.
I don't like your world.
All right, thank you, fellas.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
Jarrod. Thank
Bye.
you. Well, now that he's gone,
Yeah.
I can say what I really think about Australia. Matt, I don't think we ever even said what did you think about this?
I think basically it is good. I think it doesn't feel at all like Jim Henson Hour, so it felt kind of weird
Yeah.
to be
But it
watching
felt a little
this.
too much like it too, so because I kept putting myself in the place of somebody in 1991, thinking, "What the hell is going on here?"
Yeah, I think especially too, like if I, like Jarrod, had only seen just this,
Yeah.
you don't know who Leon is. You don't know Vicky. You don't know a lot of the context in which these things exist. And
Yeah.
while granted, it's not a very dense context, there is things that we know about these characters and storyteller episodes we have seen that
Right.
explain these things. But I think it's what you said earlier, I think is absolutely correct. The framing of this feels so Muppet-y,
Mhm.
of them having to deal with their own existence and having to essentially have their reality undone around them. And I
Yeah.
think there are ways they would do that sort of thing on the Muppet Show, in like talking about puppetry and puppets, in a way that this goes even further. And because they have like the now digital side of things with the blue screen and
Right.
CGI Muppets, they can go like an extra layer of teaching you about how this works and unraveling it at the same time.
Yeah. And I think that is something that they used to do. And I said this before, but I think before the Disney era, now in the Disney era, I feel like they're so obsessed with pretending like they're not puppets.
Right.
But that to me is like 25% of what the Muppets are is
Yeah.
hey, they're riding like, even if you don't notice like the bike riding scene that they go into in so much detail in this, like that's still what they're doing, is being like, these are puppets. Isn't that crazy? But now you're not supposed to think about it anymore, I think.
Well, I think the vibe I get, and again, this is based on vibes only, seeing some puppeteers talk about it on different podcasts and things they've done publicly. My gut feeling is that Disney is just in general pretty protective of
Yeah,
the Muppets and how
totally.
they're presented publicly, and
Yeah.
don't want them saying anything out of pocket that's going to get them in trouble.
Mhm.
And so I think they have a lot of control over what they say and do. I know that not that long ago, a year or two ago maybe, Matt Vogel and Eric Jacobson did a show on the Muppet Cruise Line that was kind of like an evening with Jim and Frank,
Oh.
but with them. And part
Wait,
of it
on
had
Disney
puppets.
cruises? Is that
Yeah.
what you- Oh, wow.
And part of it had puppets, part of it didn't. Part of it was just them. They wrote some original sketches for it, but like it was just them and a few of their characters sort of hanging out, putting on a show. And there's a really good episode of Below the Frame, Matt Vogel's podcast, about that show where, because obviously you can't go see it, and they're very good about not sharing those videos out in the world. I don't think you can see anything from that show. They talk about the show itself and describe it and go through making it. And they do talk in there a lot about how this is rare, and they understand that this is very different from things that they're normally allowed to do.
Mhm.
Like I don't expect to see Matt Vogel and Kermit on The Tonight Show when The Muppet Show's coming out.
Yeah.
That's probably not a thing, but I guess probably Jimmy Kimmel because it's ABC. But I would
Right.
not be surprised if Kermit and Miss Piggy show up on Jimmy Kimmel next
Right.
month.
But they're not going to be sitting on the laps of their puppeteers.
I don't
guess.
assume so. I think it's just,
Hmm.
part of it was, having Jim Henson on the show was different. Being able to bring out
Yeah,
Jim Henson,
totally.
the father of the Muppets, along with Kermit the Frog,
Yeah, but
was different.
you never even
I-
start down the path of it being like that if you don't ever try
Right.
it, I guess.
Right, because you think about those super early Today Show clips where you see Jim and Jane come out at the end. They're like, hi. Like, they're
Yeah.
not famous yet, but they wanted to share the puppeteers and show them off. So I do think there's a world in which they could be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
they're just not currently in that world.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it is like part of having the spirit of part of the spirit of Jim Henson is to share those tricks and not to. I don't know. Just think it's interesting that well, and like maybe there's like people don't trust that, like people in charge don't trust that if you see them as a puppet, you're going to think of them as like, you won't still think of them as a person even when they're sitting next to the person with the hand up their butt.
Well, and maybe for Disney, you think about the parks and stuff, like
Yeah.
they may be lumping Kermit and Mickey Mouse together.
Yeah. Totally.
And so they don't want a guy to go on a show and take off the Mickey head and be like, hey, here's what it's like to be Mickey
Right.
all day.
Right.
And so I think they're probably protecting all of their characters in a similar way when they could let some of them loose a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, they've done crazy stuff. If you think about the stuff they've done with Mickey in the last like 10 years, it's wild. They've gotten
like
really
the animated show.
Yeah. And that's like the official Mickey in the park kind of that, and of that ride. And he is so, and they will show stuff like a pencil drawing Mickey. The weird thing about Mickey is that, about Kermit is that he is real. Like he's real and not real. So that's even a whole different line to walk. But anyway, I thought this was so interesting because of the aspect of dread that is probably the thing that Disney's trying to avoid of like, we're not real. Oh my God.
Well, and again, when they let him off the leash a little bit, I feel like you've seen fun moments. Like I always call back to a couple of years ago, there was a sort of Muppet Christmas Carol reflection roundtable where it was like Robin and Kermit and Piggy and Gonzo talking about Muppet Christmas Carol with Brett Goldstein. And in that, you can feel like a lightness and you know, sort of like a relationship between these characters, not as, you know, uncle nephew relationship kind of thing, but in we're co-workers, we're the Muppets kind of thing,
right?
That I think is sometimes missing from those interviews, especially. And yeah, I think a lot of this is time. Like the Muppets are not on TV as much anymore. The Muppets aren't doing as many interviews as they used to do. The Muppets aren't getting prolonged segments on television to talk about themselves. So when we only get 2 or 3 minutes on the Today Show or whatever it is, they're going to ask about the relationship between Piggy and Kermit. They're going to ask about the new show. They're going to ask like about Sabrina Carpenter. And I get that, but it does do a disservice, I think, to the performers that are there now.
Yeah, I agree. A disservice that extends to people not respecting them as much as they should. Like, yeah.
A couple other things I saw in this that I think were interesting was the early 3D modeling program they show off to show the creation of the set for the Jim Henson Hour. They show Michael K. Frith drawing some of the original sketches. When they show off the 3D program, there's a file window, and one of the files names is X Elvis 136.
Oh, interesting.
And the window that it's in is labeled "The King is Alive."
What the hell? That's the proof we needed to. He's out there.
This is one of the clues. I don't know what the other ones are, but this is one of the clues pointing to where we can find Elvis.
I was like, Jim Henson was like a big Elvis truther. Behind the scenes always.
Yeah, I tried to figure out what program this was, and I could not. So I don't know if this is a real program or something they sort of mocked up for this, or just
Elvis. The King is alive.
They show us a dog casting session as well, where they were trying to cast for the dog that they were going to get to play JoJo before they could build the JoJo puppet. And they show off the kinds of dogs, and it's like, you know, a wide variety of dogs, and they sort of settle on a kind of dog. I don't know dogs. But one with like longer hair, kind of floppy. That does look like it would make a good puppet.
JoJo looks like a dog. JoJo looks real as hell.
They did a very good job, and they showed the behind the scenes making of that puppet, and there's a lot of work that went into it to make it look as real as possible. And it's only when you get into the really tight close-ups when they're in England, when you're like, oh, okay, there's some puppet seams showing here. Not literally, but in the eyes, there's a lack of soul.
The doll's eyes, if you will.
But JoJo is humiliated at watching her own creation.
It's a humiliating experience to watch documentary footage of the making of yourself. A classic Muppet line, I think. Yeah, like I could hear Moki or somebody saying that too. Just and see, I think whenever I see Fraggle Rock too, I'm just always like, yeah, those were the damn days. They like, I don't know. I just like to look back on all of it. When they got to the Muppet Workshop in the Creature Shop, my mom was like, those places are so messy. They were pretty messy. The Muppet Workshop especially was messy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're going to clean it up for, TV production, that's one thing. But I have to imagine there's a lot of just fleece and felt and feathers flying around all day.
There's only so much sweeping you can do, I suppose.
Yeah. There's a recent, there's a new video on Adam Savage's Tested YouTube channel, by the way, where he goes back to the Jim Henson Creature Shop in LA to talk more about Fraggle Rock puppets and stuff, which is
cool.
Another interesting insight into some of the Gorgs. And they talk about building the new Gorgs for Back to the Rock and how they differ.
There's plural new Gorgs.
Well, so rebuilding the old Gorg puppets, but also building the new, spoilers, Baby Gorg.
Yeah, right. Did you think that Gonzo was the right character to have this existential crisis? I did keep struggling with that.
Who would be better?
Well, they don't have a lot of options on this show, I suppose.
Right, you can't do Fozzie because Frank's not here.
Yeah, you have to do somebody who's kind of big so you can do the phone thing and like do some of the more like... So you can't be Bean, I don't think, but Bean could be close.
When Sam says the phone thing, by the way, there's a bit where Jim is talking about how sometimes the simple things are hard. Muppets can't just walk in and pick up a phone. You have to use a tape edit. And so the Muppet walks over, touches the phone, you edit, and then the puppet can glue the Muppet's hand to the phone, and then it can pick it up in a different shot.
Yeah.
And so they show this about 10 times.
And Gonzo keeps doing it because Gonzo's like, he's like, I can do it without the cut, basically. And he keeps trying and it keeps cutting. And he's like, and he just tries like 4 or 5 times. And it's so good. I loved that part so much.
And then he
tries to like run away at the end. Yeah. And he has the phone and Kermit's like, you know what they always say, never try to leave the scene with the phone glued to your hand. And they talk about his arm wires and Gonzo holds up his arms. I just think Gonzo would be like, yeah, man, whatever. Like that feels like more what he would do to me. But I don't know.
Like, to him, Dave Goelz is a roommate. They live like it's a bunk bed situation. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, that guy, he's always there.
Yeah, he'd be like, there's a guy underneath me controlling me? Cool. Yeah. But I don't know, like Fozzie, but Fozzie's a live hand Muppet, which introduces all kinds of new... But watching Fozzie get his world deconstructed would be fun in the same way that like there's the Daffy Duck cartoon where they're like erasing stuff and drawing stuff. Duck-a-muck or whatever it's called.
It could be interesting to do a sort of throwback like they did with the Don Celine kind of things with Muppets on Puppets or something where they're building or restructuring or whatever a Muppet and you see the moment the Muppet comes to life.
Yeah.
And is like talking as it its eyes added to it or something. And it could be a familiar character. Like we could see the Gonzo puppet as it suddenly becomes a walking, talking Gonzo.
Right.
But maybe they didn't want to push it that far.
Maybe there isn't anybody who like nobody really fits the bill entirely. I don't think nobody's like nobody interesting. Maybe.
Well, I think who could be fun in a different way would be Floyd.
Yeah, that
like Floyd, you could actually destroy his life. Yeah. I think by putting him through this experience. Like, oh man, don't do it! Don't take my legs.
Yeah, Beaker. I suppose you could do like. But Beaker's live hand too, but I don't know. Like Beaker and Bunsen, like if Bunsen was telling Beaker that he's not real, then Beaker would be like, what? Not it. Well, Beaker might just be like, this is another one of this bullshit. This guy's always putting me through this kind of stuff. Then he pulls his head off
and he's like, look, there's a hand here. And you just see like Richard Hunt's hand flapping around.
Beaker's just like, I don't care. I get killed every day. This is fine. But seeing Gonzo in this state was a little bit like thinking about great Muppet Christmas Carol Gonzo. I think like that one leans in especially too. He likes to get hurt and he's very normal about it. That I think having just watched that and seen the live thing and then seeing this Gonzo is kind of like, this isn't quite the Gonzo that I know.
Yeah, this is a more reserved Gonzo usually. Like even as he deals with these existential crises, it's like he kind of just accepts his fate at the end of it. I think it's interesting that him and Digit are the ones having this conversation because they're obviously both Dave Goelz.
The same person.
But Digit at one point is like, oh yeah, there's some creases on the corners of your mouth. Like I can see you're wearing out.
That was great. Yeah, his new character telling his old character that. Or you could import Boober for one episode and be like, Boober, you're not real. Everything you're afraid of is true.
And then he has to report back to Fraggle Rock and be like, guys, I just learned so much.
I think he would not tell them. I think he'd be about to and be like, no. He'd
He
just
just
see him
sleeps on
having
that
fun.
forever.
They're swinging on vines. They're swimming around. He'd be like,
Yeah.
this one's just staying with Boober.
That's why he does so much laundry and stuff. He's like, I can't deal with this. So I'm going to just distract myself through
The only thing
menial
that stops
chores.
the voices, it's the chores. That's right. If I stop doing the chores, I look down and see a man looking up at me.
Well, Jim shows off how they use the monitors, which leads to some footage from Muppets and Men of the In the Navy Viking Pig musical number.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the same as it is in of Muppets and Men. But afterwards, Kermit goes, I always liked that number. Those were the days.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah,
right,
because
though.
it's saying these ain't the days.
Nope. Yeah, that's implied in that statement for sure.
Gonzo, Leon, and Bean at this point are still disgusted because they're like, they showed everything.
Yeah, they said puppeteers. Yeah.
Well, Jim and JoJo travel by tape edit at one point to New York to head to the puppet shop, where JoJo gets to see a robotic, or I guess as he calls it, a bionic puppet. This is also where JoJo sees the new Gonzo being built. And then they fly over to the UK shop where they get to see a bunch of Monster Maker and other storyteller puppets hanging out.
Mm-hmm. This is around when, right? When he meets the other dogs. Yeah. When they're leaving the British shop, the storyteller dog pops out. It's kind of like, stay away from that guy. He looks so creepy compared to JoJo. And
Yeah.
he's like, hey, kid, come
You're
in this
late.
closet. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you don't necessarily expect a you don't expect a storyline in this episode
Mhm.
outside of the Muppet Central Muppets dealing with their own mortality because
Mhm.
Jim initiated that.
Yeah.
This is a storyline that comes and goes pretty quickly, but does just kind of happen where, they saw the Heartless Giant, they see the Ultra Gorgon, they see Sir Didymus very briefly, and they go to leave, and Dog from Storyteller pokes his head out, tells JoJo he's running late for the meeting. And this is the Organization of Muppet Dogs meeting where Rolf is the president and Sprocket and a bunch of Dog City dogs are there too.
It's really cute, and they induct JoJo into their organization, right? They're like, here's our newest member. And there's no reason for it to happen at all, except I think to see Rolf and he is kind of in Jimmy Dean show mode in this, because that Rolf was always like grandstanding and like having banners behind him and stuff. But
yeah, I thought it was going to come back or be more of a thing because it's so, I don't know, it's charming, but it's also nothing.
Just a little moment to make Sam happy is what Jerry Jewell said to himself.
Well, and I feel like in all of our research we've done through the years for this show, I've come across the phrase Organization of Muppet Dogs before.
Yeah, it sounded familiar to me too.
And I thought it was also more of a thing and not just a weird throwaway gag inside of a Jim Henson Hour episode. So I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's so weird how many moments there are across all Muppet projects that are dog focused. It's like the Walt Disney thing has one. I think which is the one where Rolf's in the pound? Is that the 2011 Muppet movie or? Where
the pound is but wow.
What is that?
Is
that Muppets from Space?
Muppets at Walt Disney World, he gets put in the pound.
Right, but then there's one where he like runs the pound or something. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I do, and I feel like we've already seen it because I think it was like Muppets Take Manhattan, right?
Maybe. Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, because when they all split up, I think he goes and works at.
He's working
like that
because he's taking care of the dog with the bow in its hair.
That's right.
Who the rich guy brings in.
Yeah,
so we've seen a collection of Muppet dogs like that before.
Right. There's just always and now here's the interlude that's really about dogs.
They love their dogs. They're smart, like we said. Like the dogs work.
Cartoony, realistic, all of it works.
We get to see some behind the scenes of Song of the Cloud Forest, which, isn't terribly surprising. After watching it, you're like, yeah, that's blue screen with
that's pretty much how they would
CGI
have had to do it. Yeah.
But they show the paint box technology and the light pen system that they use to draw and create the original backgrounds, which is sort of a nice little time capsule to step back in and see Doozer drives in at one point, and JoJo assumes it could not be real because he's just been watching all of these, blue screened elements, and is like, well, I know it's probably 3 feet tall in some other studio in front of a blue background. And Jim picks up. He's like, it's right here,
Are you
JoJo. It's fine.
sure? Yeah. Then there's like another similar scene where he's like, all right, now the Doozer's really here. And Jim's like, you can never tell what's real. And the Doozer like flies off of the desk.
Mhm.
And then it's kind of creepy because it goes into Muppet Central, and then Digit is puppeteering the Doozer, which was
Yeah.
not previously really established to be being puppeteered.
Yeah, a Muppet puppeteering another Muppet is...
And they call him a traitor too. Not for this particular instance, but at one point Digit is like, I'm going to learn how to be a puppeteer. And they're like, traitor.
Mhm. There's in the middle of this section, there's a big chunk of Down at Fraggle Rock dropped in here to show how they do the Gorgs and the Gorg vision and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And after that, JoJo asks Jim, how do Muppets ride bicycles? And we get to see a lengthy explanation that has a...
This was the most Jim being Jim of like, wrap it up, buddy.
Yeah, we get Jim explaining all the different ways from Muppet Movie to, Muppets Take Manhattan. But of course, when he talks about when Kermit and Piggy are riding in circles, he says that rig was so complicated, you'll have to figure that out for yourselves.
Has he said that before? That sounded familiar.
I don't know. Maybe, or maybe that's what's on Muppet Wiki if you look it up. How did they do that?
Right. That could be right.
Like, Jim won't tell us.
This was a moment where it was like the 90s was not the best time to have this on, because he kept saying like, and you can see really, if you look in the distance, you can see the bar, or you can see the things being pulled.
No, you
like,
can't, Jim.
No, that would be 1/2 of a pixel, Jim. I can't see anything.
Yeah, my 12-inch screen, black and white on the kitchen counter.
It is bewildering to me that those are actually just marionetted. Like they don't look like that.
Yeah, they are sometimes. Other times they're robots on strings being pulled by a bike. And it's like, there's so many different technologies going on there.
Yeah.
And the Kermit and Piggy one is the most confusing because they are moving in circles, which would be difficult. Yeah. So who the hell knows? We also get to see John Hurt getting his storyteller prosthetics applied to his head, as Jim calls him a sort of half puppet.
It's a stretch. That's not. I don't think he's right.
If there was like some robotics to make his ears wiggle or something, I could see that. But it's just prosthetics, Jim.
Yeah, Jim's like watching a lady put on makeup. He's like, wow.
She's half puppet.
I'm dating a puppet. My dream come true.
Well, speaking of, after that is when we meet Camille Benora.
Yeah, baby.
Sam's new 80s lady crush.
Uh-huh.
And as we meet other puppeteers and get more secrets revealed, we are taken to Digital Productions to see how Waldo works.
They cover a lot of ground in this thing. I like that about it too, I think.
And yeah, then they come back to Muppet Central. They show all the puppeteers, and they lead into the music video that we did not originally like, but both seem to appreciate more.
Yeah, I don't like the song. I think I do appreciate it. I could have used even a little bit.
Like the music keeps rolling, something like that.
Yeah. The it could have been more like the thing that they showed on the German Sesame Street thing, where they show the whole skit. I think I would have preferred to see the whole thing be, instead of cutting back and forth, because there wasn't really that much puppeteering shown in that moment, but it was a little bit.
No, we get everybody introducing themselves when like I'm Jerry Nelson and this is Beard. I'm Dave Goles and this is Gonzo. You see a little bit of that, but sometimes they're not cutting back and forth or using a wide shot. They're like a close up on Dave as he is saying something as Gonzo, and it's like, okay, that's not really the magic part of this.
Right. And I did think I would have liked to see I'm Jerry Nelson and this is Floyd instead of and this is Beard, but
everyone's favorite Muppet.
Beggars can't be choosers, I suppose.
But yeah, the special kind of wraps up saying everything's back to normal, which is Jim just allowing the Muppets to believe
that they're
their reality. They all agree to never look down again.
That was so funny. I like that a lot.
Oh, with them agreeing to never look down?
Yeah, well, let's never look down again.
Yeah, because they kind of believe it's back to normal, but they also don't actually want to know.
Right.
Gonzo can't allow for that, though, and he looks down and he tells us, hey, guys, actually, it's just floor down here. And he kicks his foot on the floor and we hear the stomp. And so we believe what they believe, that there is a floor down there.
As Jim says, the fantasy always wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the secrets. I did love that he also said that the final secret of the Muppets working is all the performers. I thought that was really nice too.
Yeah. I also love JoJo's one last question about the white lion.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim says, I don't know why he's there, if that's what you're going to ask.
Yeah. It's like, maybe for season 2, I could be your sidekick. I say stuff.
I just love that it's like everyone who watched the Jim Henson Hour is like, why is the lion there? And even Jim isn't sure.
Yeah. It would have been fun if the lion had just like shrugged. Oh.
Yeah.
You tell me to leave, huh? What do you think about that?
Yeah, the actual question is whether it's a real lion or a puppet. Jim says, why don't you go find out? The lion scares JoJo, who jumps into Jim's lap as he wraps up Secrets of the Muppets.
I'm really curious if they had made more, if they would have put JoJo in it, or what their thought was with JoJo.
Yeah, it's interesting to go that far of like casting a dog, making a puppet that looks exactly like that dog because you need a dog to follow you around when it's like, why a dog? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, is it just easier for the wide shots to not have to like, let's bring Rolf, or I guess Rolf would be harder because it's Jim, but like, let's bring Gonzo to the creature shop and have him see all of this.
Yeah.
Like, is it just easier to do wide shots with a dog? You could have done Sweetums or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Remember when they made, was it Fufu that they made? And there was like a whole newspaper article about like how impressive Fufu was.
Yeah, it was like some people can't even tell the difference between these two. And then you see a photo, you're like, yeah.
Dumbasses again, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I guess if there's a moral to this episode, it's who's JoJo? Why is JoJo? Where's JoJo now?
I thought you were going to say the fantasy always wins. But yeah, the real question, where's JoJo?
Yeah. Truly a Poochie, but a successful Poochie, because I'm going to be asking that for the rest of my life. I had a good time with this. I'm kind of now, I'm getting to the point where I'm a little sad that this show wasn't successful.
Yeah, but this version of this show, which is not necessarily what it would have always been, because they kind of used every arrow in their quiver in this one episode.
But Muppet Central was funny, and it's been funny a couple times.
But that's when it gets meta and interacts with Jim, and
that's true. That's
they usually just don't let it do that. It's its own weird thing that doesn't really work.
That's true. That's true.
So
I should keep perspective. It sucked.
If it had been more like this, but there is no indication that it would have been more like this because there's been no consistency across this.
Right.
Well, Sam, before we get out of here, I got to ask, any non-Muppet things you enjoyed this week?
I don't think so. I've been playing UFO 50. Have you heard of this game?
Yeah. It's like 50 old school games in one video game.
And it was a thing on computer for a long time, and now it's on Switch. And it's a perfect Switch game because they're very bite-sized. They're like old school Nintendo hard for the most part. And by that same note, some of them aren't very fun, but there's like 10 of them that are like, all right, right now I'm playing a little bit through each of them, and then I'm going to go back and really like sink my teeth into them. And I think probably a lot of them have something special to offer, but it's like a good bang for your buck because there are a couple where you're like, holy shit, there's like a horror mystery, like an old school point and click adventure that's really fun, and short, like really bite sized, but like the puzzles are interesting and they make sense, and yeah, I've been playing that. I like it. How about you?
Nice. I watched Jay Kelly, the
George Clooney,
Adam Sandler, Noah Baumbach movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. I also really like Noah Baumbach movies, which I know are like a specific taste. Right. So I'm not going to necessarily say everyone go watch this movie because you may hate it if you hate Noah Baumbach movies. But I really like Noah Baumbach movies, so I would say highly recommend. The trailer doesn't know. I don't know, doesn't do it justice. The trailer for it is a bad trailer.
Okay.
But I think the movie itself is right in line with the rest of his work.
Huh. Yeah, this was one that feels very badly promoted because I don't like the name is not, maybe the name isn't very good or something, but.
Well, and I totally like the idea is it almost feels like George Clooney is playing George Clooney, and that's kind of true, but it works. And I think the thing with Noah Baumbach movies is they are not action movies. They are not big, dramatic things. Like, not a lot happens in his movies. They are character pieces where people argue and fight and talk over each other. Like, if you like to watch well-written dialogue of humans being really realistic humans and there's not magic and things, like, that's what you're going to get from a Noah Baumbach movie. So I don't know, like, what to tell you. If you don't like his movies, I understand. But also, you know, Jay Kelly, I think, is just as good as, you know, Margot at the Wedding or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A film that probably 2 people listening to this have seen.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah, that's 2007.
Okay.
Jack Black playing like a serious role.
Yeah, you're a real Baumbach head, huh?
I was that was essentially who I wanted to be in film school. Like, the movies I wanted to write and direct in film school were like Noah Baumbach style movies. I wanted to write really realistic movies. Like, I wasn't interested in doing fantasy or sci-fi things. I wanted real people in real situations. And so seeing someone who I think does that really successfully, I think is, you know, interesting. And then he freaking, you know, co-writes Barbie and Fantastic Mr. Fox and Madagascar 3. So he has some fun.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta let you know what we're doing next time as we discuss the penultimate episode of the Jim Henson Hour, Living with Dinosaurs. I don't know what to expect. It's sort of a short film in the vein of, you know, Lighthouse Island, Monster Maker. So maybe we'll like it. Maybe we'll hate it.
I have low expectations, but I hope I'm wrong.
And because I love talking to people about this weird-ass show, we are going to be joined by another special guest. But this time, it's not a co-owner of toughpigs.com. No, we will be joined by a puppeteer who has worked on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. For 16 years, he has performed Dodge T-Dog on CBeebies. But most importantly to me and Sam, he is the man behind Gonger on Sesame Street. That's right. Next week, we will be joined by Warwick Brownlow Pike.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. But before we get there, we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. You can reach out to us at mail@commitment.com or on social media at commitment.com on Blue Sky or at commitmentpod on Instagram. You can always follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.